It's good afternoon from NYChessKids. Again, Sabine here. So we're gonna continue studying those classical games. This study has a lot of games, so it will take me time to record all of them. But I guess one at a time. So today we're gonna look at the game between Petrosian and Boris Spassky. Now this is an opening. That you can consider, with the white and black side, some kind of King's Indian opening or Benoni, right? So this is clearly the lesson for advanced kids, right? So let's see. Um, so we have this setup, like both sides are making fianchetto, and the world champion Petrosian was a specialist for openings like this. He used to play like G3, and he likes safe setups, and so he was fantastic with those openings. Now here we can stop here, right? It's clear that both sides have very safe kings, right? They made a castling. They played fianchetto, put the knights around. So white has those two pawns in the center, right? Gives white more space, right? And black has to do something on the queen side. So black will try to push the pawn like this. See here, he goes with a knight a5 and then pushes the pawn to c5, right? So that brings us into some kind of opening that's called Benoni. So this bishop on g7 clearly very powerful on the diagonal, right? But white has a space advantage. So this pawn on d5 is very important. So if you like playing d4, and if some other kids are playing the King's Indian defense, you could consider this, like playing like this, like Bishop G2. It is a very powerful setup, right? So look, white has a very strong center, and like I said, this pawn on d5 is creating some problems for the bishop to get into the game. So now, Queen c2 and e5. Black is pushing e5. He wants to white to take en passant. But if you take en passant, then bishop gets into the game by playing bishop e6. So Petrosian plays b3, knight to g4. The idea of knight to g4 is to push the pawn to f5, right? So black wants to start with the attack on the king side, right? Pawn to e4. Like, look at the setup. Pay attention to the setup, because this will happen in other games as well. Pawn to f5, and now Petrosian takes that, right? So look, if a bishop would capture, then one of those knights, like knight on d2, would go to e4, right? So basically, the white wants to have control over this e4 square, right? And by putting the knight on e4, the bishop on g7 is a little bit out of the game, right? Because with this setup, e5, d6, and c5, the bishop is blocked. So that's what happens. So that's why black takes with a pawn. And what black really wants to do here is he wants to go for the attack here. Look, those pawns now are kind of in attacking mode, right? They want to move forward, and if black can bring the pieces to the king side, the king could get attacked. But you'll see that Petrosian was an amazing defensive player. So look at this, what he's doing right now. He plays knight to d1, right? So on any kind of move, like let's say e4, right? He could actually trade that bishop on g7 by playing bishop to b2. So I mean, to play a move like knight d1 is very hard. You know that look, even grandmasters are going to have a hard time to play a move like this. But Petrosian was a specialist for those kind of positions. You know, he was such an amazing defensive player. Right, so let's see now. Black plays b5. Right, he's attacking on the queen side as well, and f3. And that was the idea of knight d1. So now the knight cannot go to e3, right? So Petrosian set up the defense here. e4, right? The rook is attacked on the diagonal. So bishop e2 offers the trade for that bishop. This bishop on g7 is one of the most important pieces that black has, right? Because it is around the king, and you will see without that bishop, the black king got into a very dangerous position, because the black opened the game and the black king is open. So what's really interesting about this game, that this attack that black created here in the center, an opening of the center, actually became a counter attack on the black king. So pawn takes on f3, bishop takes, trade of the bishops, queen takes, the knight on d1, still defending the key squares like the e3, knight e5, and look at this move now, bishop to e2. Instead of like moving bishop to g2 and putting the king around the bishop around the king, Petrosian plays bishop e2. This is also, I think, a move that is very important, right? At the same time, bishop on e2 is protecting the pawn on c4, right? So there's actually 3 times attack, right, on c4. So bishop e2 makes a lot of sense. Pawn f4. It looks like black is ready for the attack. Look, he's opening the game now, and but both kings are opened, right? So it's going to be attack on both kings. Pawn takes, bishop goes to h3, and now a master move. Look, this rook is attacked, right? So what Petrosian is recognizing here, that the black king is also opened, so he's looking to mobilize his pieces, so he's sacrificing this rook. He's giving that rook. He's also noticing that this bishop is very dangerous for his king. So he's playing this move, knight e3. Look at this, an amazing move, right? So Spassky takes that, rook takes, and knight g6. Suddenly, the white pieces got so mobilized, and now black king in trouble. So even without exchange here, the white is better, because the white king is now safer than the black king. Bishop g4. That's the problem for the black, because this bishop wants to go to e6, and and that check is very unpleasant. Now, look, I hope you can see that without this bishop on g7, the black king really got opened, and there's no protection around the black king. Also, the problem that black has is this knight on a5. The knight moved to a5 with the idea to push c5 and b5, and yes, the black created all this action on the black side, but the knight is on the edge of the board. It's not playing, right? And taking on c4, nothing really happens because white would recapture with a pawn. So that's also a problem for black. Now, knight takes on f4, and look at this, another sacrifice of the rook. Rook takes. Why is this move important? First of all, by playing rook f4, your bishop can go to e6, right? Because we are removing that important defender. Also, this knight is dangerous on f4 around the white king. And this sacrifice, I'm sure Petrosian saw this a long time ago, that he needs to do this, right? Rook takes, bishop e6. Now, what to do with the black king? I can, if the black king goes to f8, then queen h8 is creating a lot of problems, right? Queen h8 would win the game. So rook f7, blocking the bishop, but you see, the bishop doesn't want to take on f7 right away. You can take any time you want. So when you're in positions like this, you want to mobilize your pieces, right? You want to bring all your pieces into the attack. So knight goes to e4, and what to do now with the black side? Right? It's very hard to find any good move here for black. The knights and the bishop are surrounding the black king. See, this knight can jump to f5, right? So the attack is very, very powerful. Queen goes to h4, and knight takes on d6. So it's clear now that white is threatening to take on f7. There are no good, useful checks here. Like queen g5 doesn't really help very much, right? You could block the check. Even if you want to play knight g4, you can do that, or you can knight g4 would be excellent, and then you take on f7. So queen or king h1, that was played in the game, right? So there are no good moves. But now from here, the game goes into the combination that became very well known, right? Famous combination. After rook a7, bishop takes, and here is what the setup for the combination happened. Queen h8. Fantastic move. You will see this combination in many other books, right? So now you know it's coming from this game, because after queen takes on h8, knight goes to f7, check, and you take the queen. So of course you are winning here, right? So let's go now to see what are the most important moves that we would have to remember. First, if you want, you can learn this opening. Right, just look at the setup. I like to learn the openings through the games. So look here. So we have this opening. So it's kind of Benoni with a knight on a5. Right, this knight on a5. The idea of that is to push c5 and to push b5. Right, so that's the first thing. That means we have we have the opening with the bishop on g2, right? The fianchetto, and the reason that white play knight e2 is to protect the pawn on c4. And what else is important here? Yeah, capturing, right? This is important. Taking on f5, and then this is an amazing move, knight e1. What a move, right? This is definitely a move that I will remember from this game, right? The idea is to bring the knight into the defense of the key square e3, and he wants to play f3. I'm telling you, not many players can play a move like this. I mean, again, Petrosian was a specialist for defense. You know, he had such a good feeling about defensive moves, and this is one of them. You know, moving knight to the first rank, and now f3. Look how he trades that bishop. It's important to trade a bishop. And then bishop e2. So both kings look quite opened, and definitely not safe for both kings. But then again, I mean, what's really impressive about this game are those moves that Petrosian is playing. Look at this move, knight e3, the first sacrifice of the rook, right? So he's recognizing the mobility of his pieces after look, he's bringing now another rook into the game, and he's recognizing that those three pieces here, the knights and the bishops, will become very active, right? And that the black king is not safe. So this is a kind of counterattack move. So instead of defending yourself, right, he goes into the attack with move like this, knight e3, right? So basically the defense becomes an attack. And bishop g4. And here another fantastic move. Look, a second sacrifice of the exchange. Check in bringing his pieces into attack. So if you look at the material, it's clear that black is better, but look at the king. He made an assessment that the black king is now in more trouble than white king. Beautiful. I mean, it's really, what a masterpiece. What an amazing game. And yeah, here we saw this attack, right, with the bishop f7, threatening bishop f7, and see that the black cannot take the knight. Right, try to follow me. Bishop can take on f7, check. King probably has to go to f8, not probably. And then queen h8, king goes to e7, right? So there's a move, knight f5. That's possible to play. Now both queens are hanging out there, so let's see that. I'm not sure if I can move them. I think I can. Yeah. Bishop takes, king f8, and check, king e7, and knight e5. So queen is hanging, right? Check. He cannot play king f7 because then queen g7 would lead into taking the queen, maybe even checkmate down there. He has to play king d7, and then check, bishop e6. He has to play king c7, right? And after queen h7, check, and then you take on e3, take the queen for free. So that's and then we have this position, right? King h1, rook a7, and introduction to this fantastic end, right, with the queen h8. Now, what did we learn from this game? I think we learned how the defense. So we learned how to defend ourselves. Now, clearly, this game is for advanced players, for kids who are in our classes over the maybe 1400. So this is more advanced game, right? But a very instructive, beautiful game, and pay a little bit attention to the moves that are played here, especially to the move knight d1. Okay, kids, I hope you enjoyed the game, and we will see each other in the next one. Bye bye.